Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Today is Father's Day in the UK. Happy Father's Day! So I thought I might as well review the Ninth Doctor episode, also entitled Father's Day, originally broadcast on BBC One in May 2005. Just in case you don't know the plot, Rose explains to the Doctor how her father tragically died in a hit-and-run accident alone in the middle of the road. The Doctor takes Rose to that fateful day in November the 7th, 1987, so she can be with her father in his final moments. However, Rose's instincts takes the better of her, and she ends up saving her father's life, which causes a disturbance in time, which even the Doctor might not be able to resolve. I've always liked the character dynamics between Rose and the Ninth Doctor. I prefer Rose with the Ninth rather than Rose with the 10th Doctor, and that's not a knock on the acting abilities with all three actors involved, but I just the character wise, I just prefer the Ninth Doctor with Rose rather than the Ninth Doctor with the 10th Doctor. It's just that with Rose and the Ninth Doctor, you're just building this natural friendship, and it is just keeps building up and building up throughout series 1 of modern Doctor Who. And Rose has selfishly but understandably, has pretty much put that friendship at risk. Now, I'm not going to say whether Rose was right or wrong in saving her father's life. I'll let you decide in the comments for that one. But I do like sort of how this friendship has, altered because of Rose's decisions. There was basically, she was in a no-win situation, even though she has kind of put herself in that scenario. There is a no-win situation. It was either going to be choosing the Doctor or her father. It's simple as that. But yeah, I love Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor, especially in this episode when Rose makes that decision, and just his face and the conversations that they have throughout this episode, particularly the first one where Rose is sort of babbling on about how wonderful her father is, and now she can do everything that he wanted to do. There's all like blueprints of him making solar panels. He can go off and do that, and then the Doctor just straight away, when I asked you to come travel with me in space, you said no, but then I said time machine, and it's kind of like indicating straight away with the audience that this was some kind of master plan for Rose all along, which Rose does deny, and I believe that this was not an intentional trick for Rose to sort of one day say, "Oh, I could go back in time and rescue my father." But obviously, the Ninth Doctor still very much closely removing himself from the Time War. It sort of just brings all back that sort of tragic of, don't you think I could have saved my people? Don't you think I would have thought of that? But I know what I'm doing, and what you've done is ultimately wrong. There is another person out there in the universe who shouldn't be there. Just the toll this episode has on their friendship, I just absolutely loved that sort of dynamic scenario as well. The Doctor saying, "I did it again. I picked another stupid ape." I loved that line when I first heard it, when I watched this episode for the first time in 2005, because 2005 me wasn't quite getting into Rose. I think it was just, I was being sort of like very stigmatism around Billie Piper, and obviously knowing her as a pop star, so I wasn't really appreciating what Billie was doing, and I just kind of couldn't get the character between Billie and Rose out of my head at that point. So I'm glad that we had this sort of argument there. But going back, it's sort of like there's a theme of just kind of selfishness in all of it, really. Obviously Rose wants her father back. The Doctor wants kind of Rose to himself in a sort of that fatherly way, but obviously it's kind of like it is like a relationship, of when both of you are right, but you're both sort of fighting your own corners, and you are going to die on this hill with your arguments, and that's what kind of happened. The Doctor was like, right, fine, see how you get on without me. I'm off, I'm done. Yeah, I just enjoyed seeing that sort of how this all played out in this episode. Give a shout out to Sean Dingwall as Pete Tyler. He was brilliant in this episode. This is the first sort of introduction of who we have about Rose's father, and this is something that I do appreciate with modern Doctor Who. We kind of do get a bit sort of fleshed out character backstories with our companions, and sometimes that can go on a bit too much, like Clara Oswald to a certain extent. But here it's sort of like it's something new. It's something that was kind of touched upon with the final series season of classic Doctor Who with the Seventh Doctor and Ace. But here it's expanded on a lot. So I do appreciate that. And yeah, it's good to sort of see that there is more to a companion than sort of like a little bit of cliff notes, and let's flesh out this character even more. But yes, Sean Dingwall as Pete Tyler was brilliant. This kind of like this dull boy type rogue, always planning up lots of schemes and stuff like that. He's just like a flawed human being. That's the only way to describe him, but a lovable person, as well. And yeah, just how he's kind of like pieced it all together. Jackie is, Jackie might find him as stupid and just arguing with him. But he's kind of piecing together that he knows that he shouldn't be here. He knows that he should have died at that accident spot. He knows that he didn't do all the things that Rose said that he did as a father when they were growing up. And yeah, and Sean played that really well. It's a sort of balancing act of like fleshing out this character of Pete Tyler, the man, and then Pete Tyler, the father. And then you got this extra little element in there of with Jackie and Pete arguing outside the church about how Pete might have had some kind of dodgy affair with the cloakroom attendant at a nightclub some time back. I honestly think with the character that I see portrayed on screen, I don't think Pete did that. I think it was just a mad accident, and it's kind of wrong place, wrong time, and 2 + 2 = potato. And yeah, I don't think he would have done that. There's a part of me that might think that maybe he had a quick snog with the attendant, as in some kind of like just to relieve all the stress and tension that was clearly going on in this household. But honestly, no, I'm gonna say Pete is innocent in that one. This episode is clearly the Rose Tyler Billie Piper show, and deservedly so, and rightly so. Billie Piper, this was her, I think, her breakout sort of moment in the sun with the companion of Rose. I think it took, obviously it's new eyes, it's a new version of Doctor Who, new vision of Doctor Who, and obviously we hadn't had a companion kind of like this before. And yeah, I think Billie absolutely sold it, and she had quite an emotional sort of roller coaster ride to go through with this one, and to sort of see all these elements in play. Obviously, the script and the writing absolutely helped, but that can only go so far. The actors and the directors, they've got to do a lot of the work as well. And I do feel that Billie Piper absolutely nailed it in this episode. She had Rose had this wonderful idea in her head that's from all the stories that Jackie has been telling her as a child, that this Pete was this wonderful man. Her father was awesome. They had this loving relationship, and if he didn't die, it would have been the three of them together forever. Sunshine and flowers. But in reality, absolutely not. There were arguments. There was calling each other every name under the sun. Having a domestic outside in front of a church. Pete kind of hitting on Rose a little bit in the flat. And then obviously this big sort of reveal of did he or didn't he have an affair with this cloakroom attendant. So her world really did come crumbling down very quickly. When she got what she wanted, rightly or wrongly, and the doctor walked off, and then the doctor was running back, there was that little smirk on Rose's face of like, yeah, I knew you would be back. And then everything just went downhill from there. Obviously, we got these Reapers coming in, this domestic arguments between Jackie and Pete. Her world came crumbling down in this episode. You know, she nearly lost everything, and you know, she and I thought Billy just absolutely was brilliant with that. I honestly think that Jackie and Pete would not have stayed together. I think they would have, you know, they would have ended the relationship. I don't think Rose would have had what she kind of got in series 2. I don't think that would have happened in this timeline. And yeah, to see that, and right at the end of the episode, obviously having to go through the emotional turmoil of actually seeing her father die, and having to rebuild this relationship with the Doctor. It's, you know, that at the end, the look that the Doctor still gives of like, you know, be careful what you wish for. It just painted 1,000 words really on his face, and you know, and they walked away hand in hand. But you know, the dynamics of the relationship was strained, and I felt at the end of the episode that Rose has learned and was still learning a very valuable lesson traveling with the Doctor, and that's all thanks to Billy Piper's performance. I thought the monsters of the week, the Reapers, look really good. I thought the CGI really still holds up, actually. It's probably one of the better sort of effects in modern Doctor Who, you know, some 18 years later at the time of recording. And also this story does have, this episode does have some really good humour as well, with the Doctor, mainly the Doctor's sort of one-liners, telling Jackie to shut it, finally, in his words, and just the way he was sort of like telling baby Rose of like, don't bring the end of the universe now, will you, and stuff like that. I did like that. It obviously has the Doctor Who tropes that we all know and love. The Doctor trying to resolve this situation, and obviously the monsters with the Reapers. But the heart and soul of this episode is obviously Rose's journey, and having that scenario play out, and you know, and it's bittersweet and tragic at the end. You know, it is just an emotional roller coaster. I'm going to give Father's Day a TARDIS rating of 8.5 out of 10. This is just wonderfully written by Paul Cornell, and just fantastic storytelling from beginning to end, script to screen. There is just so much love, detail, and attention. The costumes look great, you know, and going back to that sort of 80s setting, it's still very much familiar, but sort of, you know, you can see that nothing's much changed in terms of like the cars or the big hair and the music. Speaking of music, Murray Gold, the theme for Rose, and I think it's called Father's Day. That music, that's probably one of my top sort of underrated, if anything, one of an underrated, or one that doesn't get talked about that much, uh, regarding Murray Gold's music. And yeah, glad that we're having him back for some more sort of hidden gem themes. The performances are amazing. You know, obviously Billy Piper, fantastic as Rose in this episode. Christopher Eccleston shining as always as the Ninth Doctor, and Sean Dingwall in the show stealing moments as Pete Tyler, and I'm glad that we got to see Pete again in series 2. I'd say Father's Day is certainly a top 5 from series 1 of Doctor Who, maybe even the top 3. If you haven't watched it for a while, do check it out. It is still on BBC iPlayer, and I'm pretty sure it's still on HBO Max in America. But correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But let me know in the comments below your thoughts to Father's Day. Where would you rank this episode throughout series 1 of modern Doctor Who? And, you know, is it your top 5? Is it your top 3? Is it your favourite one from the Ninth Doctor era? And also, what would you do in that scenario where Rosin, would you have gone out and changed the course of history and saved your father's life? And again, happy Father's Day. And this is the kind of what I got from this episode, between obviously it was a sort of a struggle with Rose with her natural father and obviously the father figure that we're kind of getting from the Ninth Doctor, especially with her going away hand in hand with the Ninth Doctor. It was this father-daughter lesson, I felt, and something that she very much learnt at this on this episode. But whatever you're doing this Father's Day, I hope you're having a fantastic one. Thank you very much for watching, as always. I hope you liked this review. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Twitter at ReviewTimey. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who content on Timey Wimey Review TikTok and right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. And as the good doctor once said, the past is another country.